My name is Cameron. I suffer from alcoholism and addiction. I grew up in a 12-step home. Most of my family members are alcoholics and addicts. You know, my dad always used to tell me growing up when I was a kid, Cameron, you're screwed from the get-go. The first time he ever caught me smoking pot, of course he took my stuff, threw it away, flushed it down the toilet, told me to never do it again, but of course I wanted to do what I wanted to do and I didn't care what anyone had to say about it. I used to love cocaine, loved meth, loved mushrooms, but alcohol was my main. That was my drug. That was my fulfiller. That's what I truly enjoyed because I could drink a ton of it. I remember, drinking about 21 beers in one night, puking at that point, and then kept going afterwards. That was the insanity, and I thought that was normal. My mind was completely sick. It made me think that things were okay when they weren't. I used to go sneak off campus to get high and drink, and I didn't really have any desire to achieve anything. Alcohol and drugs did give me a social setting, because there was one thing that we all had in common is we all liked to drink and get high. But however, I was pretty comfortable being by myself. I like to isolate. I got my drugs, I don't want to share, but I want what everyone else has. I use that to fill, a hole inside of me so that I could be able to feel complete. When I abused drugs and alcohol, I just felt okay. My oh shit moment was when I was dating this girl. She had 2 kids, and we were using buddies together, and after cops got called because of a noise complaint, I took the fall, got a ticket. I drove 45 minutes home, just completely smashed and passed 2 jail cells along the way. And somehow, I don't know how I got lucky. I take those as God shots. I get home, I see my dad sitting outside, he's smoking a cigarette. I walk up, I sit down, and he takes that one look at me and says, "Cameron, what's wrong?" I looked at him, I said, I'm okay. He goes, "Cameron, you're my son. I know when something's wrong." He says, "Cameron, recovery has saved my life. Give it an honest 90 days, and if you don't see your life change even in just that slightest bit, that drink and that drug will be out there waiting to kill you." Jumping into recovery for me was, I didn't really know what to expect. All I know is I just didn't want to live the way that I was living anymore. I had to find out, for myself that this was a problem. It took me over a year after getting sober to really find out for me that I was an alcoholic. The difference between an alcoholic is an alcoholic changes his goals to meet his behaviors, and a non-alcoholic changes his behaviors to meet his goals. All I know is I didn't really want to live the way that I was living, and I had a fear of going back out and experiencing that insanity again. After I got sober, I started experiencing some amazing things. I went to school and started making something of myself. I got a solid running car, I got a roof over my head, I got food in my stomach, probably a little bit more than I should, but you can't love anyone else without loving yourself. Without recovery, I would absolutely be nothing, and for me, it took something that was bigger than me to really fully get this program. I have to rely on my personal higher power that I do choose to call God. I don't really understand what God is, but I do know that there is a God out there, because if it wasn't for that God, I sure as hell wouldn't be here sitting in front of you today. Life for me is very fulfilling, not just with me having a beautiful wife and finding my love for riding motorcycles. Life is just great today. I have to maintain a level of serenity in order to be able to continue on this life. My level of serenity is directly proportionate to my level of expectations. I was taught that expectations are resentments under construction. To someone who is still out there running and gunning, the key part for me was doing that next right thing and do it without expecting anything in return.